Okay, here we are. Welcome to this week's Fife Property Market Update from the 8th of January to the 14th of January. Now, this is a look across the whole of the Fife Property Market in terms of how many properties has actually been listed and how many properties has actually been sold in the same week. Gives us a good idea about supply and demand, where we are right now in terms of activity and transactions right across Fife. Last week we saw 30 properties actually on the market itself. Just to have a wee quick look, yep, and 34 were actually sold. So demand was slightly outstripping supply. Let's look at it this week and see where we are right now as well as the beginning of the year. Yep, here we are. Immediately on the face of it, you can see straight away that demand is outstripping supply again, but across the regions, you've got Cooper, 5 properties came on, 8 actually sold, so really good activity in the Cooper area. East Neuk 3 versus 4, St Andrews 2 versus 7. Well, St Andrews is making catch up now because the week before and before that as well, there was a few properties actually not sold, more actually listed than that. So it's actually quite good to see there's a bit more activity in the St Andrews area. Leavenmouth 11 versus 9, Dunfermline 35 versus 35, so quite even and stable. Glenorchy 17 versus 10, Kirkcaldy 12 versus 17. Again, demand outstripping supply. That's no surprise again. This just tells us there's nice stability in the property market itself on the back of UK economic activity. Let's quickly talk about that actually. November, the UK economic activity for the GDP, which is the gross domestic product of the economy, which is actually growth of how the economy grew. Now, there's been doom and gloom predicted for recessions for the God knows, about 3 or 4 months from the Bank of England, from the Office of Budget Responsibility. They've all been talking the economy down. Well, in November, it was just announced a couple of days ago, the economy grew by 0.1%. Now, technically, an economic recession is a period, 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth. So again, we've got positive growth here. So also as well, we saw the IMF actually announce only a third of the world they think is actually going to be technically in a recession, and 2/3 therefore won't be in a recession. So this might actually be a lot milder than we think. However, I'm going to point out a couple of things here about what they said in the headlines. So they actually did say the UK economy grew by 0.1%. This is actually quite good because it'll tell us a wee bit more about how that could affect the housing market as well in November, which was better than analysts actually expected. This was really due to the pubs and restaurants contributing to the slight growth as the people went out to watch World Cup match games. The Office of National Statistics said. In light of today's figures, or these figures, Jeremy Hunt, the Chancellor, pledged to stick to the plan and have inflation this year, which is actually good. It doesn't mean that people have to really suffer beyond, extremities, for the very fact that their target is halving inflation. So it's round about the 10% mark. So they're going down to about 5 or 6%. There's a tolerable level for this year, which means they won't do as harsh measures as they think. However, you've got to think about this coming, the next couple of months that are coming through. And that'll get the economy growing again, he says. And he actually sent, there was burning questions actually sent to Robert Cuff, the personal finance, and Myron Jobson answered them, and as well on that subject. In today's news, it makes it less likely that the UK to have entered a recession in 2022, but the Resolution Foundation says the Bank of England and the OBR, which is the Office of Budget Responsibility, are forecasting the UK economy to contract through much of 2023 and therefore enter a recession. So they're still forecasting this. So you've got to be aware of this for your spending and also for your saving as well. Although the economy is in better position than the forecast is expected, families and businesses continue to feel the pressure of rising bills. And they've actually heard clear testimonies of those people making drastic changes in their lifestyle because of the cost of living crisis. So let's talk about that, actually, the housing market itself and how it will affect it. Now, Persimmon have actually said year on year for 2022 compared to 2021, their house sales are actually down 50% in turnover. That's a huge amount of contraction in terms of the Persimmon. Barrett actually said that mortgage rates are making homes less affordable, therefore they're actually seeing a downturn as well. The other thing as well, which is quite notable, which is it's not really connected to house prices, but it will have a knock-on effect, is Next, B&M, Greggs, Sainsbury's, Tesco's, Asda's, M&S, they all said they had bumper Christmases. Does that mean that this is going on the credit card? and this is what I'm saying about, the ramifications of this might have to come. If a lot of people have actually put their spending for the Christmas period, because they've had, exuberant sales in comparison to what they expected, it might mean we're kicking the can down the road, and this is going to hit us in the next couple of months, where people are now beginning to tighten their belts, and they'll have to start paying off credit cards or having credit to carry with them, which might actually eat in a lot more to their disposable income, or the income they have to spend on other things, which means they might have to tighten their belt, which means also it could affect possibly interest rates in terms of mortgages, and people actually taking out mortgages, and therefore the knock-on effect could mean that people are actually not prepared to buy a house at the where before, potentially. So these are all things that could hypothetically happen, and these as a result of what could happen there. Now, the key indicators that I'm going to watch for is the house price index. The UK house price index is out on January the 18th. So I will do an update at that point in time. Now, it's up to October. House prices have still been rising round about the 8% right over October. So the November statistics for the house price index, which is the real index, I mean, the ones you're seeing right now is from the Halifax, the Nationwide, and all these think tanks who actually collate data, but they don't collate all the data. It's factual and over the line. The house price index, which is the UK one, and the Scottish one as well, they actually collate every single house sale in the UK in its entirety, and actually come up with these statistics. Hence the reason why they're a wee bit behind, a couple of months behind the actual other ones that come out from the Halifax and the Nationwide. So that's things actually to be aware of. The base rates as well. Bank of England will meet and they will discuss base rate rises potentially, or base rate stabilisation. In other words, will not put a rise through, or you never know, they might drop base rates. Pretty unlikely, though. On the 2nd of February, that will be the Bank of England Monetary Policy Committee actually meets. So we'll watch out for that date as well, and what that could have in terms of implications for house prices and the index itself. A couple of articles I want to talk about quickly. It was on here, and I'll talk about house prices and what we've got coming to market in the next week or two, and you can hang on for them if you want. Interior motifs, as Andrea and myself spoke about, what you need to do, the new styles that are coming in terms of house design interiors. So all the new styles that are coming, it looks like it's coming full circle from the 1980s and coming back. So if you want to watch that or listen to the podcast or read the article, it's on this post as well. Other one as well, actually, I did during the week, just a quick ready reckoner, which is about a 5-minute video, was why houseplants make your house and your home just a little bit better. So if you want to tune in on that and have a wee bit more information about that, click on the link in here as well. Let's talk about what's actually coming to market and what's actually sold from us in the week. This gives a good indication about what prices are and where they are right now. And we'll get these numbers up again. Just before I leave there, 85 versus 90. Remember, take stock now. The key here is, I'll just remove that now. The key here is house prices are stabilising right now. Last year, we were getting 9% over Home Report, because I did all the statistics for last year, right up to the end of December, with what we sold. I mean, it meant another 3 million over the Home Report values for our customers on average. That was £20,000 each. So it was about 9% over the Home Report values which we're achieving. So potentially it might go into this year. However, I have noticed a lot of reports from other estate agents and other solicitors saying that they think the market's going to be flat. They actually might think the market is not going to be as buoyant as it was last year. I think that could be the case anyway. And my prediction is actually by the end of the year, potentially, will between the UK economy, or the UK housing market, will between 5 and 10% reduction in price. But actually, when you get to the end of this year, that will actually just take you back. It was a 5 and 10% reduction between there to March of last year in terms of house prices. So that's not too bad. However, if you're selling right now, and if you're buying now right now, just be aware. For sellers, it might take a wee bit longer to sell your house, purely for the fact that there's 956 properties available for sale right throughout Fife. Mortgage rates are obviously a bit more difficult, and they're a bit higher to actually be able to afford. So, and affordability is a big thing. People are actually, the housing market's running out a wee bit of steam, because obviously everybody's jumped in the lockdown period and the knock-on effect after that. But the cost of living issues are actually coming in as well. And as I said there as well, maybe Christmas, with their credit card was used quite a lot with quite a lot of people, and therefore they will have to pay for it in the next couple of months, and then on into the rest of the year. So that might have a real big implication on whether people will actually think, well, I tell you what, I might actually stay in my house that a wee bit longer. So if you're motivated and you need to sell because you've actually committed to another house, then probably a price realignment, if it's nothing happening so far, is the best way to go forward for you. Possibly as well as just make sure you potentially your estate agent speak to them and speak to where it is right now, and also get the advice from them and what they think you should do next. That's the most important thing. You need to listen to them. People will queue up forever and a day to hear what they want to hear, but nobody wants to queue up to hear what the brutal truth. And sometimes the brutal truth is what you need to hear. So be aware of that and just be open to that from your estate agent, and take their advice. They have been in this business more than likely for a lot of years, and they've seen it all before, especially in the credit crunch. So take their professional advice. That's what you've got them for. Anyway, let's talk about what we got over the line. Gives you a good indication about where we are in terms of prices. So this one is actually, a lot of you actually saw this. This had great potential. So it was currently running a very successful Airbnb, and it had 1, 2, 3, potentially 4 places you could actually have. It could be a fantastic family home. It could be a downsize as well. This was sold in 2 weeks. That was no surprise. It was a 4-bedroom terraced house, and it had a net loft at the back, and it also had the double garage at the rear of that as well. So this was away in 2 weeks, and the new people are actually very excited to relocate to their new home. So there you go. So originally an Airbnb, and now it's going to be a family home put back into permanent use. Okay, this one, and that one was listed offers over 400,000, and one other person missed out. So if you've got a property like this, please feel free to contact us. A typical 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom townhouse, terrace, mid-terraced, and possibly net loft and possibly garage out the back. Nice big back garden as well. Yeah, definitely want to hear from you about that one, because you're getting good prices for these. It's away. Kilrenny, Rosemount Back Dykes is away, sold. It took a wee bit longer than usual because it was a unique type of property, but a 6-bedroom detached house. It is away. It was on at offers over 475,000, and it is now sold. Next one here is Wellesley Road in Methil. This was sold in just over a month, a 2-bedroom upper apartment, and this was on at offers over 65,000. So 2-bedroom upper apartments, flats, are actually being sold. It offers over 65,000 right now. So prices again are very, very stable, as I said. Let's talk about what's coming soon. Just give you a wee heads up. 4 Todd's Green in Crail. That's a 2-bedroom terrace house. That's coming soon. Transit Park in Glenrothes. 3-bedroom end terrace house. That's also coming soon. And then also, as you said, Pinkerton Pinkerton Road, Pinkerton Drive, in Crail. I'd actually did a pre-portal on that just a couple of days ago, so watch out for that one. That's a 2-bedroom, 2-reception, semi-detached bungalow. Really good proximity to all amenities, especially the beach and the Fife Coastal Path. Anyway, completed this week. North Street in Kittlebridge, a 3-bedroom terraced house. It sold in 3 weeks originally. Now, this is keys handed over. We can actually tell price and what it went for. And this gives you a good idea of what prices properties are actually achieving over the home report value right now. This was sold at just under 2% over the home report value, an extra for £163,000. And new owner was happy with their first home, their first ever home, first time buyer. Perfect. So that's North Street, Kittlebridge. 3-bedroom terraced houses are selling. They're selling quite well, but again, we're coming back to saying they're selling for round about the home report value. So the market has actually now stabilised. And you have to take that into account as well. And that's it. I'll quickly just say I've got my wealth creation show tomorrow, actually. Diary of a Property Investor, How I Made My First Million. And the lessons learned. So that's 12:30. I'm doing that with Richard. I'm going to be talking about that. I've actually found a whole load of properties that I actually bought in the time period that I was talking about last week. So I'm going to cover all that as well in terms of what I did with them and what lessons I've learned from each property. It's actually quite a revealing fly in the wall sort of look at exactly what happened, where the mistakes were made, and also where the right things were done as well. And often a lot of people could learn, you could probably learn more, or I learn more from other people's mistakes rather than actually trying to reinvent it and do it myself and do the same thing again, because somebody would actually just say to me, well, I told you that was going to happen. So rather than be costly, learn by somebody else's mistakes. Hence the reason why I do the Wealth Creation Show. So we'll see you tomorrow at 12:30. Richard and I live on TikTok, on Instagram. We'll be on the social media channels as well. We also on LinkedIn as well and YouTube as well. There's a link in this post as well to our channels if you want to put yourself on a reminder, because it's pre-programmed already. If you hit the reminder button on that link, it will, when we go live, give you a quick update and notification to say, yep, we're live now, and you get your golden opportunity to ask us questions live about what we did, how we did it, and what lessons we've actually learned and what you could benefit from as well. Anyway, until tomorrow at 12:30 on the Wealth Creation Show, I'm Jim Parker for Fife Properties TV.